The colony of Nova Haven lay on the edge of human space, a fragile outpost surrounded by harsh alien landscapes. Jagged mountains of black rock stretched toward a gray sky, while rivers of molten minerals cut through the barren valleys. Humans had built their home here despite the dangers, carving tunnels and buildings into the rocky cliffs. Among them worked Ethan, a young engineer whose courage was known throughout the colony, though he never sought praise. Ethan had been inspecting a mining rig near the cliffside when the first warning sirens blared. Red lights flashed across the base, accompanied by the metallic roar of alarms. His heart raced as he saw the sky darken with incoming ships. These were not human vessels. They were sleek, angular, and fast-moving, with black hulls that seemed to absorb light. "Raiders," muttered his colleague Mara, gripping the railing. "They've found us." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Get to cover," he shouted. Then, without waiting for her, he sprinted toward the mining platform. He knew that some of the workers might still be trapped in the tunnels. As he rounded a corner, debris rained down from above. A huge alien craft had landed nearby, and figures in dark armor stormed the colony, their weapons flashing with strange green energy. Colonists screamed and scattered, diving behind walls and machinery. Ethan's eyes scanned the area, and then he saw her, a small child no older than 7, trapped beneath a fallen support beam. "Leah!" someone called out. It was her mother, pinned behind rubble, unable to move. Fear twisted her face. Ethan didn't think. He dashed forward, pushing aside the burning debris and twisting metal. The beam was heavy, but his hands found leverage, and he heaved it upward just enough for the child to crawl free. Leah looked at him with wide, terrified eyes, her small body trembling. "It's okay, you're safe now," Ethan said, his voice calm, despite the chaos around them. He scooped her up and darted toward cover, dodging blasts that cut through the ground near his feet. The alien raiders advanced with precision, firing in synchronized patterns. They seemed to anticipate the humans' movements, but Ethan had grown up in harsh conditions. He knew how to think fast. He ducked behind a mining transport vehicle, using it as a shield. "Keep her down," he yelled to Leah. Her small form huddled against him, and he felt a surge of determination. He wouldn't let anyone harm her. Not today. A raider appeared near the edge of the transport, weapon raised. Without hesitation, Ethan activated a nearby crane arm, swinging it with perfect timing to knock the alien off balance. The creature toppled to the ground with a loud clang. Ethan grabbed Leah and ran, weaving through corridors and machinery. He reached the main plaza where most of the colonists had gathered. Some tried to fight back, others were frozen in fear. Mara was already helping a group of children to safety. "Ethan, over here," she shouted. He ran to her, setting Leah down safely. The little girl clung to her mother, sobbing but unharmed. Ethan glanced around, chest heaving. The colony had taken damage, but the people were alive. That mattered more than anything. Then the sky changed. The sun, hidden behind gray clouds, reflected off something massive descending slowly. Ethan squinted, trying to make sense of it. A huge, elegant ship hovered above the colony. Unlike the raiders' craft, this one shimmered with a quiet light, its surface smooth and majestic. From the ship, a figure appeared. Standing on the observation deck, framed against the sky, was an alien queen. She wore regal armor that hinted at strength and wisdom, her presence commanding attention. Even from this distance, Ethan felt the weight of her gaze, as if she could see into his very thoughts. The raiders hesitated, their attacks faltering for the first time. The queen raised her hand, and the hostile ship suddenly stopped, their weapons powering down. The sky seemed to hold its breath. Ethan didn't understand it, but instinct told him she was different. She was not an enemy. There was authority in her stance, but also something almost curious. She was studying him. "Who is she?" Mara whispered. Ethan didn't answer. He kept his eyes on the queen. Every movement he made, every decision he took, felt under her scrutiny. The raiders, sensing something beyond their comprehension, retreated, their ships lifting off with sharp mechanical whines. Within moments, the threat vanished, leaving the colony in stunned silence. People began to emerge from cover, cautious and awestruck. Ethan helped Leah to her feet, brushing dust from her clothes. She looked up at him with gratitude, her tears drying on her cheeks. "Thank you," her mother said, wrapping her arms around the child. Her voice shook with relief and fear. "You saved her." Ethan nodded, but his attention remained on the hovering ship above. The queen had not moved. Her presence was calm yet commanding, and it sent a shiver through him. Then, unexpectedly, a beam of light descended from the ship. It formed a platform, and Ethan felt a strange pull, like gravity itself was urging him forward. Before anyone could react, he found himself stepping onto the glowing surface. Leah's mother reached out, but Ethan only gave a reassuring nod. As he ascended, leaving the colony behind, he saw the devastation left by the attack. Buildings were damaged, machinery lay twisted, and smoke rose from scattered fires. Yet, despite the destruction, humans were alive, and he had made a difference. The Queen awaited him at the center of the platform. Her eyes, dark and deep, held both challenge and recognition. She spoke in a voice that resonated inside Ethan's mind rather than his ears. "You are brave," she said simply. "And yet bravery alone is not enough. To survive among the stars, one must show wisdom, compassion, and courage under pressure." Ethan swallowed, unsure how to respond. The air around her shimmered slightly, like a heat wave over molten rock. He felt exposed, as if all his thoughts and deeds were being measured. I just did what I had to," he said, voice steady despite his racing heart. She was a child. Someone had to help her. The Queen regarded him silently for a moment. Then a subtle smile touched her lips. "You act as humans can act, but the universe is wider and stranger than your colony. There are choices you cannot yet imagine, tests you cannot yet foresee. Do you have the resolve to face them?" Ethan hesitated. The question was more than a challenge, it was a summons. Somewhere deep inside, he felt the truth of it. He had faced danger to save another, and yet he knew this was only the beginning. "I'll do whatever it takes," he said finally. Aurelia, the Queen, nodded. "Good, then prepare yourself. You will travel beyond this world. You will face trials that will test everything you believe about courage and humanity. But know this, your actions today have already marked you as noteworthy." Ethan's mind raced. Trials beyond the colony, facing unknown dangers. Yet he felt a strange calm alongside the fear. He had never sought glory, but he had always believed in doing the right thing. If that was enough to earn the attention of a being like her, then perhaps humanity truly had value beyond its own worlds. The platform lifted, carrying Ethan higher. Below him, Nova Haven looked small, fragile, and yet alive. He felt a pang of longing, but also a spark of excitement. His life as an engineer on a distant colony had been simple, filled with routine and toil. Now he was stepping into a universe of possibilities he had never imagined. The Queen extended a hand. "Come, learn, prove the strength of your kind. Show that humans can face the stars and survive with honor." Ethan placed his hand in hers, feeling a connection that transcended words. He did not know what lay ahead, but he knew one thing clearly. He would not falter. Not now, not ever. As the platform ascended into the alien ship, leaving the shattered colony behind, Ethan took a deep breath. Somewhere in the vastness of space, an extraordinary journey was beginning, and it all started with a single act of courage: saving a child. For the first time in his life, he realized that humanity's true strength was not in weapons, or technology, or even numbers. It was in the courage to act, the compassion to care, and the determination to face impossible odds. And now, the stars themselves were watching. The interior of the Queen's ship was unlike anything Ethan had ever imagined. The walls shimmered with a soft metallic hue, and the corridors curved seamlessly as if the ship itself were alive. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the surfaces, not harsh like the raiders' weapons, but elegant, flowing patterns that seemed to pulse in time with the ship. Ethan followed a quiet procession of alien attendants, their movements precise and measured. Leah had been safely returned to her parents at the colony via a protective transport beam, but her mother, Selani, insisted Ethan stay. She trusted the Queen's judgment, even if she did not fully understand the reasons behind it. When they arrived at a vast chamber at the center of the ship, Ethan finally came face to face with the Queen herself. Aurelia stood upon a raised platform, her presence radiating authority without aggression. Her armor was a living work of art, sleek and iridescent, reflecting light in colors that Ethan could not name. Her eyes, dark and deep, seemed to hold entire worlds within them. "Sit," she said. Though her voice was calm, almost melodic, Ethan felt no threat in her words, only a firm expectation. He complied, finding a seat upon a smooth surface that molded perfectly to his form. The chamber hummed gently, a vibration that was both comforting and energizing. Aurelia began to circle him, observing carefully. "You acted courageously today," she said, her voice echoing slightly in the vast chamber. "And not for fame, not for reward. You acted because another's life mattered. That is a rare quality among your kind. Ethan shifted uncomfortably. I didn't do anything special, I just did what anyone would do. Aurelia's gaze softened slightly, though her expression remained regal. Many would claim to act as you did, but few possess the clarity of purpose you demonstrated. Bravery without thought is reckless. Courage guided by wisdom is remarkable. Ethan swallowed. The Queen's words made him aware of every small detail of the past attack. The choices he had made in seconds, the risks he had taken, the lives he had saved. All of it, she seemed to say, mattered. You have drawn attention, Aurelia continued, not only from me but from others within my species. Some do not see the value in humanity. Some do not understand why I would spare your colony when so many others are weaker, more expendable. They question my judgment, Ethan frowned. Weaker? Expended? I don't understand. Some believe that survival depends only on strength or technology, Aurelia explained. But strength alone does not define a civilization. Compassion, ingenuity, and courage are just as important. You have demonstrated these traits in a single moment. That is why you are here. A murmur ran through the attendants nearby. Ethan realized that the Queen's statement carried weight far beyond his comprehension. He was not just being observed, he was being measured, judged, and chosen. What do you want from me? Ethan asked cautiously. Proof, Aurelia said simply. A demonstration that humanity is capable of greatness, not just in one act but in sustained trials. You will face challenges designed to test your intelligence, your bravery, and your morality. You will encounter situations where the easy choice is wrong, and the correct choice is difficult. Ethan's heart raced. Trials beyond the colony, beyond anything he had ever experienced, and yet a strange thrill surged through him. He had faced danger before, but never on this scale, never with stakes so high. Will I be alone? He asked. Aurelia shook her head. Not entirely. You will encounter allies, human and alien alike, but you must also act independently. The choices you make cannot be influenced by others. Your actions will define not just your future, but the perception of your entire species. Ethan nodded slowly, absorbing the gravity of the Queen's words. It was overwhelming, yes, but also exhilarating. He had always believed that humans had something special, something that could endure against impossible odds. Perhaps this was the moment to prove it. The Queen raised her hand, and a holographic projection appeared above the chamber floor. It displayed distant worlds, strange alien landscapes, and creatures Ethan had never imagined. Each scene shifted rapidly. Volcanoes erupting, frozen tundras, dense forests with massive predators, deserts of endless heat. These are examples of the trials, Aurelia explained. You will face environments and situations that will test your limits. You will be judged on your problem-solving, your courage, and your capacity for empathy. Understand this. Failure is not fatal, but it may close doors you do not yet realize exist. Ethan's mind whirled as he studied the images. He saw humans struggling to survive on hostile planets, negotiating with alien factions, and rescuing creatures endangered by natural disasters. Every scene demanded quick thinking and moral judgment, not just physical strength. You will begin soon, Aurelia said. But first you must understand that these trials are not merely tests. They are opportunities. To survive them is to show that humanity can rise to the stars with honor. Ethan's pulse quickened. Opportunities. To show that humanity can rise? Yes, Aurelia replied, her gaze unwavering. Today you saved a single life. Tomorrow you may save worlds. The universe watches those who act with courage and wisdom. You have the chance to show that humans are worthy companions in the galaxy. Her words resonated deeply within him. He had always felt pride in humanity, but the thought that the universe itself might be observing, waiting for proof, filled him with a new sense of purpose. Aurelia's attendants approached, offering him a device, a sleek, compact instrument that would allow communication and access to information during the trials. Ethan accepted it, feeling its warmth and subtle hum. He realized that this was more than a tool. It was a symbol of trust. You will begin with the first trial on a world known as Thalora, Aurelia continued. It is a planet of extreme conditions and unexpected dangers. Use your intelligence, your courage, and your empathy to succeed. Remember, your choices matter not just for you but for those who follow in your footsteps. Ethan nodded, gripping the device tightly. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down, but he also felt a quiet determination growing inside him. He had faced danger before, yes, but never with this clarity, never with this purpose. As he prepared to depart, Aurelia stepped closer. Know this, Ethan, many will doubt humans. Some will fear you. Some may even seek to test your limits unfairly. But those who act with honor, with courage, and with compassion will always shine. Remember your humanity, for it is your greatest strength. Ethan looked up at her, feeling the intensity of her gaze. I will not forget, he said firmly. Good, Aurelia replied. Then go, learn, grow. Show the universe what humans are capable of. The chamber shimmered around him, and suddenly Ethan was transported to the first trial world. Thalora stretched before him like a painting of extremes. Jagged mountains, scorching deserts, dense forests filled with enormous creatures, and rivers that glowed faintly with unknown minerals. The air was thin and sharp, carrying scents both sweet and bitter. He took a deep breath, feeling the heat on his skin and the roughness of the ground beneath his boots. He realized that every skill he had developed, engineering, quick thinking, empathy, and courage, would be tested here. Failure was possible, but so was success. And success would mean showing not only the Queen, but the universe that humans could stand proudly among the stars. A distant roar echoed through the landscape, reminding him that danger was real and ever-present. Yet for the first time in his life, Ethan felt fully alive. He was no longer just an engineer on a remote colony. He was a representative of his species, stepping into a larger universe, facing challenges beyond imagination, and proving that courage, intelligence, and empathy could survive anywhere, even here, on an alien world. He tightened his grip on the device, surveying the horizon. Somewhere out there he would meet allies and adversaries, face impossible choices, and navigate perils that would push him to his limits. But one thought remained clear. He would not fail. He could not fail. Humanity was counting on him, and he would show that its heart was as brave as its mind was clever. With that determination, Ethan stepped forward into Thalora, ready to face the trials ahead. The first step of an extraordinary journey had begun, and the universe was watching. The world of Thalora was unlike anything Ethan had ever imagined. Its landscape was a patchwork of extremes, towering, jagged cliffs that scraped the sky, deserts where the sand burned beneath his boots, and dense forests where enormous, unfamiliar creatures prowled in the shadows. The air was thin, sharp, and carried strange scents, some sweet, some acrid, so alien that breathing itself required effort. Ethan's device vibrated lightly, projecting a holographic map of the area. A message from Aurelia appeared. Your first trial begins now. Use your mind, your courage, and your compassion. Your choices will determine your path. He swallowed hard and adjusted the pack on his shoulders. Survival on Thalora would not be about strength alone. It would require thinking, observation, and the ability to make the right choice under pressure. Ethan's first challenge presented itself almost immediately. A small alien village, seemingly abandoned, appeared nestled in a valley below the cliffs. As he approached, the ground trembled and a distant roar echoed through the mountains. Huge creatures, massive four-legged predators with scales that shimmered like glass, emerged from the forest edge. The creatures moved with a predator's precision, their eyes glowing faintly in the alien light. Ethan froze for a moment, considering his options. He could flee, risking getting lost in the desert, or he could attempt to protect the village. His human instinct, shaped by years of helping others, pushed him forward. He sprinted toward the village, keeping low behind rocks and uneven terrain. The creatures advanced, their roars echoing off the cliffs. Ethan realized he needed a plan, and quickly. Using his engineering skills, he spotted a series of unstable cliffs above the village. If he could create a controlled collapse, he could block the creatures' path without harming them. He worked quickly, rolling boulders into position and using the environment to his advantage. With a deep breath, he triggered the collapse. Dust and debris fell, forming a barricade between the predators and the village. The creatures snarled, pressed against the rocks, but could not reach the villagers. Ethan exhaled in relief. He had solved the problem without unnecessary violence, protecting both the innocent and the creatures themselves. That, he realized, was part of the trial. Using ingenuity and compassion instead of brute force. As he helped the villagers recover from the sudden chaos, one of them approached him. Unlike humans, they had a lithe, almost luminescent form, with eyes that reflected the sky in brilliant colors. "Who are you?" the alien asked, its voice melodic but urgent. "Ethan," he replied. "I'm here to help. Are you safe?" The alien nodded. "You have shown wisdom and courage. Many would have fled or attacked. You chose another way. You honor life." Ethan felt a surge of pride tempered by humility. He was only doing what he thought was right. But the acknowledgement reinforced a lesson he already understood. Courage alone was not enough. Empathy and quick thinking were equally important. The next part of the trial came sooner than expected. As the villagers guided him to a safer area, the ground beneath Ethan trembled violently. A massive fissure opened, splitting the valley in two. Rocks and debris cascaded down, and the villagers panicked. Ethan realized that some of them were trapped on the far side. He could not leave them behind. Using his engineering knowledge, he began constructing a makeshift bridge from fallen beams, rock fragments, and vines from the surrounding alien flora. Every movement was careful, every choice critical. One mistake could cost lives. Sweat streamed down his face as he worked, but his determination never wavered. Slowly, the bridge took shape, sturdy enough to support the weight of the villagers. One by one, they crossed safely. Ethan followed last, narrowly avoiding a falling boulder that shattered the rocks behind him. The aliens reached a higher plateau where they could rest, and Ethan finally allowed himself a brief moment to breathe. The trial was far from over, but he had learned that quick thinking and compassion could save lives where brute strength might fail. Just as he was catching his breath, a new challenge presented itself. A rival faction of alien observers appeared, larger, more aggressive creatures who questioned the Queen's judgment. They were clearly aware of his presence and approached with hostility, testing whether he could negotiate under pressure. Ethan's first instinct was to prepare for combat, but he quickly realized this trial required diplomacy, not force. He stepped forward, raising his hands in a peaceful gesture. "I mean no harm," he said, his voice firm. "I am here to complete a trial, not to fight. We can find a solution without violence." The aliens regarded him with suspicion, their glowing eyes narrowing. They spoke in clicks and melodic tones, which Ethan struggled to interpret with the device. Slowly, he managed to convey his message using logic, patience, and reason. Hours passed. Tensions ran high, but Ethan's persistence paid off. The rival faction finally relented, allowing the villagers to remain safe. The encounter demonstrated that strength alone was not enough to survive in the universe. Understanding, patience, and negotiation were equally critical. The final portion of the trial brought Ethan to the edge of a vast, glowing forest. Within it, strange plants pulsed with bioluminescent light, and enormous insects flew overhead like living lanterns. Deep within the forest, a group of small alien creatures was trapped in a cave, threatened by rising water from sudden rains. Ethan navigated the forest carefully, observing patterns and anticipating hazards. Using his problem-solving skills, he rigged a system of pulleys and vines to create a temporary dam, diverting the water and allowing the creatures to escape safely. As he watched them scamper to safety, Ethan felt a profound sense of satisfaction. This trial was not about glory or defeating enemies or surviving danger. It was about proving that humans could use their minds, their hearts, and their courage together. Finally, exhausted but triumphant, Ethan allowed himself to rest near a stream of glowing water. His device vibrated and Aurelia's voice filled his mind. "You have completed the first trial," she said. "You have shown intelligence, courage, and compassion. Few have succeeded so thoroughly. But the trials ahead will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Remember, every choice matters and every action reflects the strength of your species." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He had proven something today, not just to the Queen but to himself. Humans could rise to challenges that seemed impossible. They could act with courage, with empathy, and with ingenuity. They were capable of greatness beyond their own worlds. As he prepared to rest for the night, Ethan gazed up at Thallora's twin moons, glowing pale and distant. He realized that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, full of unknowns and unimaginable challenges, but he was ready. He had learned that bravery alone was not enough. True heroism required a balance of mind and heart. With the first trial behind him, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. Whatever awaited in the trials to come, he would face it with the same courage and determination that had carried him through today. He stood, brushing the dust from his clothes, and set his eyes on the horizon. Somewhere beyond the forest, beyond the glowing rivers and jagged mountains, lay the next trial, another chance to show the universe that humans were not just survivors, but a species capable of remarkable courage and honor. And Ethan knew deep in his heart that he would not fail. Humanity had been tested today, and it had proven itself worthy. The moment Ethan returned to the Queen's flagship, he realized that the trials had taken on a new urgency. The ship's sensors were blinking red, and a low hum of alarm filled the corridors. Aurelia appeared before him, her regal composure unshaken, but her eyes reflected concern. "Ethan," she said, "a rogue faction of aliens has attacked. They seek to challenge my authority and test humanity's role in the universe. This is your moment. Your actions will determine not only the safety of my fleet but also the reputation of your species." Ethan's mind raced. He had faced challenges on Thalora, yes, but this was different. This was a battle that could destroy countless lives, and yet he did not hesitate. Courage was not a choice for him. It was instinct. He followed Aurelia to the command deck. The room was vast, filled with glowing holographic displays of ships, planets, and trajectories. Humans and aliens worked side by side, issuing commands, coordinating defenses, and preparing for the impending attack. Ethan studied the layouts and schematics of the fleet, using his engineering knowledge to identify weak points and potential strategies. Aurelia watched silently as he moved among the crew, issuing instructions, reinforcing shields, and optimizing the fleet's defenses. Her eyes glimmered with admiration, though she did not interrupt. She had chosen him for this reason, to see whether humanity could rise not just in trials of thought and courage, but in leadership and action under extreme pressure. The rogue fleet emerged from hyperspace, massive and heavily armed. Their ships were dark and angular, bristling with weapons that could tear apart entire vessels in moments. The crew tensed, readying energy shields, defense drones, and countermeasures. Ethan stood at the center, issuing commands with clarity and calm. "Divide their focus," he said. "Send the smaller cruisers to flank them. Use the gravity wells near the asteroid belt to slow their advance. Keep the larger ships ready to protect the civilian transports." The crew followed his orders, and the first wave of enemy ships engaged. Explosions lit the void, hulls groaning under the force of energy blasts. Ethan's heart pounded, but he did not panic. He moved quickly, coordinating the fleet's maneuvers with precision. Amid the chaos, one of the Queen's advisors reported a breach. A rogue ship had penetrated the defensive perimeter and was heading directly for Aurelia's command platform. "On it," Ethan said. He accessed the ship's control systems remotely, rerouting drones and deploying energy barriers just in time to intercept the intruder. The rogue ship crashed into the asteroid belt, destroyed before it could reach the flagship. Aurelia's gaze met his. "Your judgment is swift," she said, her voice calm but edged with approval. "You see the path where others see only danger." The battle raged for hours. Ethan's human ingenuity proved invaluable, predicting enemy movements and finding solutions where traditional tactics failed. He suggested using decoy ships to draw the attackers into gravitational traps, allowing the flagship to strike at their weakest points. His plan worked flawlessly, causing confusion among the rogue fleet and tipping the balance in the defenders' favor. But the battle was not without personal danger. During a sudden strike, debris from a destroyed enemy vessel crashed toward the command deck. Ethan leaped aside, but a shard grazed his arm, drawing blood. He ignored the pain, focusing on the task at hand. The lives of hundreds of crew members, both human and alien, depended on him. Then came the most critical moment. A massive rogue battleship, larger than any Ethan had ever seen, targeted the flagship directly. Its energy cannons charged, threatening to obliterate the Queen and the fleet in seconds. Ethan quickly assessed the situation. Direct confrontation was impossible, but there was a way. Using the flagship's maneuvering thrusters and the energy barriers he had reinforced, he could redirect the enemy's own fire toward a cluster of asteroids, destroying their ship without risking the fleet. It was risky. One miscalculation and the flagship could be destroyed. But Ethan's mind worked with clarity. He coordinated the shields, maneuvered the flagship, and timed the energy redirection perfectly. The massive enemy vessel collided with the asteroids, exploding in a brilliant cascade of fire and rock. The fleet cheered, but Ethan barely had time to catch his breath. Another wave of enemy ships appeared, smaller but faster, attempting to exploit the momentary confusion. Once again, Ethan's quick thinking and calm leadership turned the tide. He used environmental hazards, asteroid fields, gravitational pulls, and energy currents to outmaneuver the attackers. Amid the battle, Aurelia found herself targeted by a sudden ambush. One rogue ship broke through the defenses, closing in on her platform. Ethan saw it happen. Without hesitation, he took control of a nearby interceptor drone, piloting it with skill and precision. He intercepted the ambusher, disabling it just meters from the Queen. Aurelia studied him, a subtle smile touching her lips. "Your courage is undeniable," she said. "You do not hesitate even when the stakes are highest." Finally, after hours of relentless combat, the rogue fleet began to retreat. The combination of Ethan's strategic ingenuity, the Queen's leadership, and the crew's cooperation had forced them into disarray. The flagship and the fleet were battered but victorious. Ethan sank into a chair, exhausted but relieved. His arm throbbed where he had been grazed, and his clothes were scorched and torn in places. Yet he could not ignore the pride swelling within him. He had not only survived, but he had led, protected, and inspired others in the face of overwhelming odds. Aurelia approached him, her presence calm and commanding. "You have exceeded my expectations," she said. "Not only have you shown bravery and intelligence, but you have demonstrated leadership that inspires loyalty and trust." "That is rare among any species." Ethan shook his head, still catching his breath. I just did what I thought was right. I couldn't let anyone die if I could prevent it." "Exactly," Aurelia replied. "And that is why you are here. Humans are capable of extraordinary deeds because of their willingness to act with conscience and courage. You have proven that your species deserves recognition and alliance." For a moment, Ethan simply stared at her, absorbing the enormity of her words. He had always believed in humanity, but hearing such acknowledgement from a being of immense power and wisdom was almost overwhelming. The Queen gestured toward the panoramic view of the battle outside. The fleet hovered among the stars, battered but intact, a testament to teamwork, strategy, and courage. Ethan realized that humanity's strength was not just in their technology or numbers, but in their ability to adapt, think creatively, and act with moral clarity even in the darkest moments. "You saved more than just my fleet today," Aurelia said softly. "You saved the idea of humanity. You have shown that courage guided by wisdom can shine across the stars." Ethan felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The battle had tested him in ways he had never imagined, physically, mentally, and morally. Yet through every decision, every risk, he had held to the principles that guided him: protect the innocent, act with courage, and think before reacting. The aftermath of the battle was a quiet celebration. Crew members tended to the wounded, repaired ships, and shared stories of the fight. Humans and aliens alike praised Ethan, not for arrogance or fame, but for the courage and leadership he had displayed. As he walked through the corridors, Aurelia joined him. "The trials are not over," she said. "You have proven yourself in battle, but greater challenges lie ahead. Your ability to inspire, to lead, and to act with integrity will continue to be tested." Ethan nodded, his resolve stronger than ever. "I understand," he said. "Whatever comes next, I'll face it. Humanity will face it." Aurelia's eyes reflected pride and a quiet hope. "Then we will continue. The universe watches those who act with courage and conscience. Today, you have shown that humans are more than survivors. They are heroes in their own right." Ethan looked out at the stars, the remnants of the battle fading into the darkness of space. The universe was vast, full of dangers and unknowns, yet he felt ready. The Queen had given him not just trials, but the opportunity to demonstrate what humanity was truly capable of, and Ethan knew without doubt that humans could rise to meet any challenge because courage, ingenuity, and heart were the true weapons of his species. As the flagship set course for the next destination, Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. The trials ahead would be harder, the choices more complex, but he was prepared. Humanity had been tested and it had shined. The galaxy would remember today, not just for the battle, but for the courage of one man who refused to give up, who led with wisdom, and who showed that the human spirit could withstand any storm. The stars stretched before him, infinite and full of promise, and Ethan stepped forward, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. The aftermath of the battle left the Queen's fleet battered but victorious. Fires smoldered on the hulks of enemy ships, and debris floated like stars in the dark expanse of space. The air inside the flagship was heavy with exhaustion, but it carried a sense of accomplishment and relief. Ethan moved through the corridors, helping coordinate repairs and checking on the injured. Each human and alien crew member he passed offered nods of respect, gratitude, or quiet admiration. Aurelia found him in the engineering bay, where he was reviewing repair logs and coordinating drone deployments. Her presence was calm but commanding, as if the very act of standing near her lent the room a sense of order. "You have done well," she said, her voice carrying both approval and warmth, not only in battle but in thought and action and in spirit. "The trials were not designed solely to challenge you, Ethan. They were to observe your species' potential." Ethan wiped the sweat from his brow, feeling the ache of muscles and the burn of adrenaline. I did what had to be done," he replied. "I couldn't let anyone, human or alien, get hurt if I could prevent it." "Exactly," Aurelia said. "That is the essence of humanity. You act not for glory or gain, but because it is the right thing to do. That quality, combined with your ingenuity and courage, makes your kind remarkable." Ethan felt a quiet pride tempered by humility. He had never sought recognition. Yet here he was, praised not for what he had done for himself, but for what he had done for others. It was a feeling both foreign and exhilarating. As the ship moved through orbit around a neutral planet for repairs, the Queen summoned him to the observation deck. The panoramic view of the cosmos stretched endlessly before them, and Ethan felt the enormity of the universe pressing on his senses. "You have proven the value of your species," Aurelia said, her eyes scanning the horizon of stars. "Today, humans are not just survivors. They are partners in the galaxy. You have demonstrated courage, intelligence, and morality under pressure. These are traits that will shape the future of many worlds." Ethan nodded, his mind racing. "So, what happens now?" Aurelia's expression softened almost tenderly. "Now we form an alliance. Humans will be recognized as equals, valued not only for what they can build or fight, but for what they can contribute through wisdom and heart. Your species will have opportunities for exploration, cooperation, and shared knowledge. But this recognition comes with responsibility. Humanity must continue to act with the courage and honor you have displayed." The words filled Ethan with a deep sense of purpose. This was more than reward. It was a chance to shape the destiny of his species among the stars. The Queen had seen something in humans that others had overlooked: the ability to act with conscience, to solve problems creatively, and to inspire others through courage. A sudden alert interrupted the conversation. One of the fleet's scouts had detected a small distress signal from a nearby planet. It was not dangerous, merely a transport of civilians stranded by natural disasters, but the signal was urgent. Ethan's first instinct was to volunteer, but Aurelia shook her head. "No, this is your moment to observe. Humanity will have opportunities to act, but you must choose carefully when to intervene. Each decision matters." He watched as rescue operations commenced. Humans and aliens worked together seamlessly, saving lives, rebuilding structures, and stabilizing the planet's surface. Ethan felt a swell of pride. This was the tangible result of courage and cooperation, the kind of action that transcended species and politics. That night, after the rescue operations were complete, Aurelia invited Ethan to a ceremonial hall aboard the flagship. The chamber was vast, filled with dignitaries from multiple alien worlds, their forms and shapes unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. They all regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and respect. "Ethan of Nova Haven," Aurelia began, her voice echoing through the hall, "you have demonstrated what humans are capable of. Your courage in the face of danger, your intelligence in problem-solving, and your compassion in saving lives have proven that humanity deserves a place among the stars. We honor you, and through you, the human species." A murmur of approval ran through the hall. Alien representatives stepped forward, offering gestures of respect and alliance. Some were simple bows, others more elaborate rituals, but all were acts of acknowledgement. Ethan realized that his actions, born from instinct and conscience, had elevated the reputation of his entire species. He felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to see Aurelia smiling. "You have done more than I expected. Today humans have earned not only respect but trust. That is a foundation for lasting alliance." Ethan's gaze drifted to the stars beyond the hall's transparent walls. The galaxy stretched endlessly, full of mysteries, dangers, and wonders. And now, Humanity had a chance to explore it not as strangers but as partners. The days that followed were filled with planning and preparation. Ethan worked alongside Aurelia and her advisors, sharing knowledge about human engineering, problem-solving, and leadership. In return, he learned about alien technologies, strategies, and ways of thinking. It was a collaboration unlike anything he had experienced, bridging species and cultures through shared purpose. During this time, he also received news from Nova Haven. The colony had begun repairs, inspired by the bravery displayed during the attack. Celine and Leah had sent messages of gratitude, and Ethan felt a deep connection to the world he had saved. He realized that every choice he had made, from saving a single child to coordinating the fleet, had ripple effects far beyond his understanding. One evening, as he gazed out at the stars, Aurelia joined him once more. "You have learned much in a short time," she said. "But remember, leadership and courage are ongoing responsibilities. The universe is vast and challenges will always arise. The measure of a species is not only in moments of triumph but in the consistency of their actions." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I'll do my best, not just for myself but for everyone who depends on it." Aurelia's gaze softened. "That is why you are remarkable, Ethan. Humans have potential not just because of their strength, but because of their heart and mind. That is what will carry your kind forward." As the flagship set a course back toward the human colonies, Ethan felt a profound sense of hope. Humanity had been tested and it had shown. Courage, ingenuity, and compassion were not merely ideals, they were tools, guiding principles that could shape the future of countless worlds. When they finally approached Nova Haven, Ethan was greeted as a hero. The colony erupted in cheers, and even the Queen's emissaries paused to watch the reunion. Leah ran to him first, throwing her small arms around his legs. "You saved me," she exclaimed, tears of joy in her eyes. Ethan lifted her gently. "No, Leah, we saved each other, and we'll keep protecting each other always." Her mother approached, her eyes glistening. "You've done more than we could have imagined. You've not only saved lives but shown what it means to be truly human." Ethan smiled, feeling the weight of their words. Today was more than victory. It was recognition of humanity's heart. Later, Aurelia held a formal ceremony. Flags representing human colonies were raised alongside those of her species, and a proclamation was made. Humans would join the Interstellar Alliance, their courage, intelligence, and compassion recognized across the galaxy. Ethan watched from the platform, standing beside Aurelia. He felt a surge of pride, humility, and hope. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe, not as conquerors but as partners, worthy of trust, honor, and opportunity. "You have done more than I could have asked," Aurelia said softly. "Not for yourself, but for your species. That is the mark of true heroism." Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of her words. The trials, the battles, and the challenges had all been steps along a path that would continue long after today. Humanity's journey among the stars had only begun, and its potential was limitless. As night fell on Nova Haven, and the twin moons cast silver light over the recovering colony, Ethan looked to the horizon. The stars shimmered, each one a beacon of possibility, adventure, and challenge, and he knew that humanity, guided by courage, ingenuity, and compassion, would rise to meet every trial the universe could offer. He breathed deeply, feeling a quiet sense of purpose. The universe had tested him, and through him, humanity had been honored. And now, with the Queen as an ally and the galaxy watching, humans would continue to shine, their bravery and heart shaping the future among the stars. Ethan smiled, looking at the sky. The journey had been long and dangerous, but it had proven something vital, that courage, conscience, and intelligence were universal strengths. And with those strengths, humanity would face the stars not as strangers, but as heroes. The universe was vast, full of unknowns, but Ethan knew that humanity was ready. And that knowledge, more than any weapon or technology, was the greatest victory of all.